From the Dallas On Air studios in beautiful Dallas, Texas, this is Fulfillment right here on DallasOnAir.com. And now here's your host, the Vega Bomber, PJ Dunn.
All right, welcome everybody to this is season 4, episode 10 of the Fulfillment Show. You might be asking, what is the Fulfillment Show about? Well, it's got the word film in between it. It's all about film. So we like to talk about the director, the acting, the storyline, the key gaffer that was mentioned in the credits that no one else pays attention to. We might potentially pay attention to that. Yep. And so if you just like films, this is the place where you come for fulfillment. So let me introduce the cast of characters first, then we'll tell you a little bit about our segments, and then we'll jump into the segments, and then we'll just have a fun time talking movies. So first off, to my right hand, want to give a special hey, our special contributor, Horror Mike.
It is, as always, good to be back and having a fun time with the Fulfillment crew. I'm here to talk some movies and pop culture. Yeah, yes. We got some quite a fun topic this week. I think
yes, we do, because we're at the verge of summer, and that's a big topic in itself. And then, of course, you guys know him. He is that voice behind the camera, sometimes in front of the camera. Either way, it's still his camera, so he gets to be wherever he wants to be. It's Kazak.
Greetings and salutations, campers. Welcome to DallasOnAir.com.
Yes. So I am your tour guide, the Vega Bomber myself. So let's get into it. So today what we're going to do is the first topic of the day will be about summer movies. So this will be a summer movie preview, plus our thoughts about summer itself and the state of movies and how that's going. So we'll do that. But before we jump into that, our first thing to do today is to get into the movies or TV series that we've recently just seen. This gives you an idea how crazy we are or how good our taste is compared to yours, or maybe not. But you'll get to know that pretty quickly. And that's what I'm talking about there, the wiki. So in our first segment, we're going to go to our special contributor, who's special and contributing today. What have you seen?
A double threat. So the big one I watched the whole docuseries. A lot of my streaming queue is children's adventure shows, true crime documentaries, and horror movies.
Okay.
Kind of a nonsense person.
So he's just that guy who keeps to himself, was what we're saying.
Right?
That's it. I want to be left alone.
He was such a quiet, nice man.
Yeah, all that. It all makes sense when you see his queue. So on HBO Max, and I will say this real quick, other streaming services, the quality on HBO Max seems to be, they have less material, but there seems to be a higher level of quality. And this documentary is no exception. It's called, quote, The Way Down, God, Greed, and the Cult of Gwen Shamblin, unquote. And what this is about, I had never heard of this lady, but when I saw her, I'm like, oh, I've seen parodies making fun of her, but I've never seen it. So whenever you see Gwen Shamblin, we probably all have seen her. She was a televangelist. She's a lady with these big kind of up hair.
The big hair.
Yeah, very skinny. And basically was running what by definition is a cult. People would go there. They would, it was all about weight loss, about serving Jesus and stuff. And it shows you just how the smartest, most normal people, anyone, because the thing they bring up, and I've heard this, how would anyone fall for a cult? Everyone knows the signs. They don't train how to get out of a cult in school. You know what I mean? If they did, more people would be aware of it. But it's very subtle. You don't even realize it. And this kind of breaks down how this lady kind of rose to power, built this cult around her, and ultimately, in a freak accident, died, and how the cult has just kind of expanded from there, and is still kind of going. It's very scary, especially when you see how many seemingly kind of normal people realize, I almost died. They have powerful lawyers. You would be shocked how you wouldn't, many lawyers, but you would be shocked how much a good lawyer can basically get away with murder. People were kidnapping children, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, no, we legally have the kids." Like you're not even one of the parents. It was insanity. If it wasn't for the fact it's a documentary, I wouldn't believe half of what I saw.
David Koresh.
Bingo. Yeah.
This happens all the time. I don't know why people get shocked by this.
And that's the thing. And I think what it's not so much getting shocked by. It's that people are like, how could that happen? And it's like, no, it's all, you could almost write a playbook on it. Everything she did, they break down. They make a point to show she is a, by definition, cult leader and does almost everything that like cultism. And I'm like, this is crazy.
For sure.
Yeah, that was a pretty shocking docuseries to me. It's about like 6 episodes. And I didn't realize this. It was played weekly because the final episode discusses how the church was trying to silence them after they had played the first 4 episodes. So it wasn't all dropped at once like Netflix tends to do.
Yeah.
It's great, and it is really eye-opening. Eye-opening reminder. This is happening every day. You got to be really aware of that. So.
Well, there was one guy that told you that his office was stolen, that the votes were miscounted, and look at the cult that showed up on January 6th. I mean, this doesn't shock me at all.
Yep.
This is what people do. Let's get there. People do that. People find safety in numbers, even if it's a cult.
Yep.
That's why they join a gang. There's safety in numbers. So it's the numbers thing. And if I got other people who are just as whacked out as me, maybe I don't feel as whacked out. And then they really believe whatever the charismatic person up top says. They believe everything they say. And we've seen this in politics, not even just religion, but you see it in politics, you see it. Music. How many times have I ever gone to a concert? Kazak, you've seen this.
Yeah.
Where they say, whoever the guitar player is, so-and-so and so-and-so is God. Jimmy Page is God. That's cult-like thinking.
Yep.
Right? And so now they'll say that he's the best guitar player ever, and he will argue on everything that Jimmy Page is God. And you cannot say nothing wrong with that. And then all the people that like him get together. And then the other group says, no, Jimi Hendrix is God. And they argue over deity all the time.
Yep.
They just need somebody.
And this lady, her bit was just weight loss.
Yes.
And on God, and has, it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about what's normal, and then considering just how much power you can amass. Fairly easily in my opinion.
For sure.
So yeah, that's just another one. I love I place this in true crime, even though I don't really think a crime was committed. But it's good. If you want a good docuseries, 6 episodes, 40 minutes each. This is one. HBO Max.
HBO Max. All right. Kazak?
All right. So my queue reads a whole lot like Mike's, except there's a lot more Muppets in there. So,
Muppets.
So anyway, but and I do kind of ascribe to the cult of Joe Bob. Joe Bob and The Last Drive-In is back. Joe Bob Briggs, former critic for the Dallas Times Herald, and now, of course, horror movie host, has been doing it so for I think 40 years, something like that. Anyway, he's back with The Last Drive-In, and this week he did a double feature of Nosferatu. Nosferatu, the Klaus Kinski 1979 version, and the 100th anniversary of the original Nosferatu. This particular showing was really stellar in the fact that it's a really, really clean print. They went back and found the original score, had that played underneath, cleaned up the titles, all that. It's a fantastic transition, but of course it is the original. It is one of the first horror movies. It's one of the first. It's a silent movie. More importantly, though, it's just an important film in the fact that you see the power of shadow, and you can see the power of presence on screen, and you can see just how difficult it was to get expression across in one of these movies, and you see absolute terror on their faces. And if you've ever gone and seen the film Shadow of the Vampire, where it talks about the making of this film with Willem Dafoe as Max Schreck, and John Malkovich as F.W. Murnau, you really kind of get an insight into what it means to basically create something new, but something incredibly frightening. And of course, Max Schreck is just this horrifying presence on screen as the first vampire.
Yeah.
And of course, this being a Joe Bob Briggs showing, he talks about the detail about how this film almost doesn't exist because of the way that Bram Stoker's estate went after it, and the fact that what happened is that the widow felt that the rights of Bram's novel was being infringed on, so they basically got a hold of almost all the prints and had them all burned and destroyed. They found, of course, renegade prints, put them all together, and of course, get us this showing. But it's just amazing to know that this incredible film achievement almost didn't exist because of the estate of Bram Stoker, and it's just kind of an amazing tale that we're talking about a film 100 years later.
Yep.
And it's such an important film, not only in filmmaking but also in horror.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still an incredible film to watch.
And I'm familiar with that story about them burning it because I remember when I first heard it, it kind of gave me like a cold chill. 'Cause I'm like, that's how close that classic, like one of the most important, one of the like AFI 100 most important films of all time, was just gone. And it makes me sad. Is like, how many movies were successfully removed? Like, if that one almost didn't, like, how many were? And it was, I mean, that's why you think Lost Media, speaking rhetorically, this is why Lost Media is such a big subgenre.
Exactly.
Because look how many people were successful destroying stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at what the guys at AGFA, the American Genre Film Association, and the work that they do to try and restore, exploitation classics and things like that. You talk about the folks over at places like Arrow Video and Vinegar Syndrome and things like that. Trying to keep these pieces of celluloid intact not because they're necessarily great films, but they're important because they're works of art. I mean, it's subjective. I mean, the Candy Stripers 2 or, whatever you're going to watch from the 70s, it's still art to someone.
Congratulations on being the first person to probably ever to put Candy Stripers.
I'm just saying, it may not necessarily, Debbie Does Dallas Part 4 might not be your cup of tea, but to someone it's art.
Yep, that's fair.
But the thing is that it's important to preserve this stuff because it's a chronicle of who we are as a society. It's a chronicle of who we are as artists, and it's it may not necessarily be your cup of tea, but it's important to preserve these things.
Yep.
And Nosferatu really is a spectacularly important film. And it's important that we're still watching it today, 100 years later. 100 years later,
Yep.
man.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's true. And so I had to pick the complete opposite. So from something that's super, super important, the film that I watched is completely not that.
Right.
The film I watched was Avengers of Justice Farce Wars.
What?
So take
Oh my goodness.
let me explain this. So you take Spaceballs and then add a spoof of the Avengers and the Justice League and put that all together, and that is this film, Avengers of Justice Farce Wars. So let me just give you the idea of some
Why?
of the characters. This is hilarious because it's so stupid and it's so dumb and the production value is so bad, but I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I kept watching this thing because it was free on HBO or YouTube or one of those, right?
Yeah.
So check out these names. Simon Rex is the actor who plays Dark Jokester. So it's just what you think, Joker as a Sith. Tony Cavarello plays Beaverine. So he's got these big beaver teeth. And so when he gets angry, the beaver teeth comes out and he's ready to, right? So you see how crazy this is. Amy Smart plays not Jean Grey, Jean Wonder. So she's a mix of Jean Grey and Wonder Woman, right? But she's lost her powers in this. Steven Rizzazi plays Superbat. His name is Bruce Kent. You see where I'm going? And Incredible Master Yoga is a tall, shredded guy, the complete opposite of Yoda, but he's the master of yoga who's in this, playing this fool in here. And then you've got Rhea, the daughter of Superbat, and that's a combination of Rey and Leia. So you can imagine she thinks she can do everything the whole time in the movie. Oh, I can do it. I can fix that. And then there's Spider-Cat. She's half Catwoman and then half Spider-Girl in this. So they mix those two together. And you got Thor Baka. You got this big Chewbacca-looking dude who carries a hammer, who's growling. This is who you have. And so what's this film about? Well, these good-meaning superheroes, Thor-Cat, Thor Baka, and all these folks, they're underground because of all the damage they've caused out of their stupidity. The billions of dollars that they've costed. So now they're afraid to even use their powers or show up until Dark Jokester comes up with the naughty side, as they call it, of the farce. And from there, all of it ensues. So I figure this is something that Mike would like just because it's so stupid.
This is one
and
of those...
you, with your eclectic tastes, Kazak would go, yep, I can see what they're doing here. And it's as bad as you think it is.
Yeah.
It is, but you have to, but you keep watching, and the guy who steals the show, the best actor out of all these folks, is Simon Rex, who plays Dark Jokester. So he looks like Jared Leto Joker, but he acts like Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Gotcha. And that's the thing. The moment you described it to me, this is 100% one of those movies I would not watch alone because it would just annoy me. I get my friends together, you get a few drinks, and you just go to town. This is a classic. I mean, Kazak, we're horror fans. This is our wheelhouse, man. Those cheesy, fun, get together and just roast. I wrote it down for sure because both of y'all brought up some movies because I've never even heard of. He brought up earlier Shadow of the Vampire. Never heard of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that, and then I wrote this down. Well, I put Simon Rex because I'm actually mildly familiar with him. He's a very much in that B movie.
He's
actor.
fantastic in this. They
Once
have a droid called Creepio because it's a really creepy looking droid that says creepy things. I mean, it's just perfect for that kind of thing. And there's
I can't
WWE. Whenever they have their fight scenes, they're all WWE style. People are getting suplexed and bounced off of. And so here's the crazy thing. The fight scenes here are better than the fight scenes in Wonder Woman 84. And the CGI here is better than Wonder Woman 1984. I'll say it now.
I was gonna say, while the CGI might be harder, I was gonna say three of us could choreograph fight scenes better than 84. I think you had like 2, and they were done poorly.
For the record, it's art to someone. It's art to someone, and this is definitely art to me.
Exactly.
I just happened to stumble across it, and I just couldn't take my eyes off of it because I thought, are they going to do that? They really are going to do that.
Bill, this is 100% my style. But this is 100% the movie that if I watch by myself, I'll be angry. I gotta have it with a group. Those are those movies, man, where they're just like, this is horrible. Let's get the guys together. Another one like that for me is one day look up Vampire Assassin from like 10 years ago. Oh, it's delightful. It's, as you can guess, it's
Vampire Assassin.
Oh, yeah. It's a vampire who assassinates other vampires. Oh, it's delightful.
Yeah, well, you can imagine.
Oh, I'm
Blade
looking forward
without
to
being
this one.
Blade.
Oh, yeah. No, it's great. This is in that wheelhouse of just like fun schlock. I was trying to think of the word. Oh, I can't wait to check this out. All right.
Right. Well,
That bong smoke's gonna be thick in there, man.
yeah, it will be. So what about you folks right there? Go ahead and put in the comment section. What's the craziest, dumbest movie you saw, or what's one that you are highly feeling great feelings about in terms of like Nosferatu, something that's been around for a long period of time? Just put that in the comment section. So with that, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to get to topic A and topic B. Topic A, there it is all about anticipated summer movies for 2022. Now, I'll say this first and then let everybody dogpile in. I had a hard time trying to find movies that, again, the key word here is anticipated, something that I can't wait to see. And as I looked through the list, Mike, I had a hard time.
Yeah, same. My now here's the thing. Similar problem with a mild asterisk. My number one on my list was like easy because the only movie I'm looking forward to for the year. This whole year, I had 3 movies I was looking forward to. In this order, the Multiverse of Madness. That's mainly because Sam Raimi though, and Northman, which I thought was great. But it's its own failing in the box office. It's kind of its own fault. And my number one, which I won't spoil, no spoilers here on the Fulfillment Show. And I feel like this year, while there has been I feel a better batch of quality movies, there just aren't as many. And I don't know what, maybe I would have to do some research to see why is it so sparsed out, it feels like. There's just not as many movies this year. But at the very least, I haven't seen any movies where I was like, this is trash. But I've seen a lot of movies where I'm like, wow, this was very mediocre or below average. Like, I don't know what's causing that. It was rough, to your point. It was real rough to make a list.
Well, I think we all kind of get a sense. It's about dollars and cents. What makes money? The stuff that everybody's already seen 50 million times. All right, so make another version of Jurassic World. Make another version of this. Make another version of Avengers. Make another version. That's all it is. So all the creative thoughts are being chased out for going for the safe bets that make money.
Well, anything creative is pretty much going to streaming at this point.
Yep.
I mean, just in the theaters.
Good point.
In the theaters, it's all going to be tent poles, and then on streaming services, they can take if they have the money and make the films they want.
And this is a whole, and I want to make sure I preface it with, this is a conversation for a different time. That creativity that streaming brought is probably about to go away, and we're about to probably see even more very watered down pop culture going forward.
Of course.
Oh, for sure.
And,
it's
with-
about money.
Yeah,
Everybody just wants Friends and The Office.
Yeah.
Why do you
That's
keep-
what they want.
why
So
do you
that's
keep
what you're going to get.
Netflix?
5 different versions of it. Same thing that happened in the music industry, right? They had a 1,000 bands that sounded like Nirvana when the grunge was a big thing, and when gangster rap was big, everybody sounded like NWA. I mean, it's cyclical. It happens all the time. But that's why we talk about it here on this show, because we're trying to bring to you the films that actually are worth your time, worth watching, films that should be anticipated. And if you don't know yet, we'll try to show you that, because again, I feel sorry for anyone who sees these films and think they're watching great art. No, it's very mediocre, and it's just money plays. That's all. And so you can't really expect a whole lot of creativity out of people who are just copying the same formula over and over and over again because of paychecks. And that's the part that I'm afraid for, because as an artist, and all of us here are artists in some way or another, whether we produce it or support it, that's hard for us to see them shovel out the same thing. Right, and
keep
so
digging up those same
it's crazy.
80s,
So
90s properties.
absolutely. So, Kazak, let's start with you first. And what's something that you're anticipating for the summer 2022? All that summer means: corn in the cob, sitting outside, flip flops, shorts, t-shirts.
All right. Well, I will go for the one that I am looking forward to most, because we've been waiting for this one, and I'm finally glad it's here. And that is going to be Jordan Peele's Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
We getting to finally see the previews for this, I'm already intrigued, because we're getting it's hard to tell. It looks like to be an alien sci-fi movie, definitely a horror flick. You've got a tremendous cast, and Daniel Kaluuya, Stephen Yeun, Keke Palmer, just really interesting actors, and of course you see you don't know anything about it off the previews, so you really have nothing to expect. And again, Jordan Peele is really kind of a master at doing that kind of marketing with his stuff, because you never know what to expect with the film.
Yes.
If you've noticed, Peele's marketing department with his movies tend to do that very well. That's one thing I'll give Peele. Peele always has a fresh take on the genres of what the 3 movies, technically 4, because he wrote and produced Candyman. He always had a very unique take to it, and they always look beautiful. He like his kind of eye for cinematography is very good. I am also. I think the marketing on this was really good. I'm gonna see it, if only just to see what the thing is. Kind of how I felt about Us. I was like, what's going on? This is a very compelling take.
Jordan Peele is a director who gets horror, and the fact that he was so successful with Get Out gives him license to be able to explore horror, and that's really, really important for guys like me and Mike who really, really get into this stuff. And he's got a unique take on what it means to put horror on screen.
The problem I have, it was on my list for anticipated for July 22nd.
Okay.
Get Out is outstanding. I really do like Get Out. I mean, everyone does. It's such a good movie. It's universal. And then Us, less so, still solid, but it's just less so. And then you get to his next movie, again, not directed by him. That is very important, but his name is all over it, and he wrote it, Candyman. And I didn't like it at all. I really didn't. I really tried. I'm a
and
big
then he
fan
did
of
the
that
Twilight Zone series too.
and he's got a gradual. Now it's not a plummet, but it's a gradual decline. So I'm worried. Now it could bounce right back with this. There's enough ingredients here that I'm like, this thing could be a huge hit. But I'm a little worried. I don't want another decline of this movie. So we'll see. He has yet to produce anything so bad where I'm like, Get Out was a fluke or anything. But I am less infatuated with him as I was when Get Out and Us came out. Like when Us was announced, the hype for me was so huge, because to call it a home run seems like you're not giving it its due for Jordan Peele. He comes out of nowhere with Get Out and blows everyone away. So for him to still do a pretty decent little movie with Us, still impressive, better than 99% of directors I see in Hollywood. So
Yeah.
anticipate it, but it's on the low edge of anticipation for me. I'm more just curious and just to see what does Peele do next.
Well, I think what he should get a standing ovation for right now before you see the movie is the way this trailer was edited, because again, the one thing that I hate, and this, we'll talk about this later, because the Black Phone does not do this well at all, even though I can't wait to see it. But the trailer does not give away everything.
Yep.
The Black Phone, we'll talk about it in a moment, it gave away everything in that trailer if you've seen it. And it just pisses me off, but I still want to go see it because Ethan Hawke is awesome.
Yep.
But in terms of this, yes, I mean, when you see this trailer, you don't know what it is. You see offbeat humor, because you got the woman that's dancing and doing all this stuff, and she's saying the very first person that was ever captured on the screen was a black man. It was there at 3, and she's saying this, and he adds in another great. And you can see the humor. Yep. So there's this humor piece, and then that trailer just goes dark, and all of a sudden they're out at night and they're sitting there with him and the horse, and there's something that makes the horse spooked, and the horse just jets, and he's just sitting there by himself and cut. I'm like, yes, please don't show a tentacle or something coming out or an alien or whatever. I like how they just said, cut, now let's show you another scene.
Yeah. And it has that there's a great line, I can't pronounce that actor's name.
Daniel Kaluuya.
His last name.
Kaluuya,
Kaluuya. He has a line where I was like, oh my God, what a great line, where he's like, what do you call a bad miracle? I was like, ooh, that's a pretty good question. It gets your mind like, what did he see that would make someone ask, what do you call a bad miracle? I'm like, man, his mark. I agree with you, man. The crew or whoever he always has, because it has to be coming with him, because I don't think it's with the studio, because
I agree.
He's worked with different studios. So whoever is the marketing team for his movies is top tier. Like they know how to sell. Candyman had an incredible trailer. Us had an amazing trailer. I don't think any one of the movies he's been associated with has looked bad from the marketing standpoint. So I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. It's like, Hollywood, come on, quit. Are you that scared that people won't go see your movie that you feel like you have to give away major plot points and even show the villain? Like, no, you don't have to show us the villain. Just imply it. It's what we fill in that makes it better. So I hope that they do this, but I haven't seen that much. Kazak, your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, especially with summer blockbusters, especially with summer movies that they're expecting to make money, they give away everything. They keep on forgetting the lesson of Batman '89. The less that you know about it, the less they're going to anticipate it. And I mean, they're just trying to get you in screen. I mean, I went to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, went and see IMAX. And they included like the first 10 minutes of Top Gun Maverick.
It's just the actual first 10 minutes.
It almost felt like it. It's Maverick fighting his recruits, and just this is a special preview, quote unquote. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get into that myself a little later on, but just by the same token, we, especially with horror movies, we don't want to know what's happening. We don't need to know the antagonist. We don't need to see the monster. Like you said, our minds are going to fill in this stuff. It's insane to believe that they haven't learned the lesson.
And they get punished for it. Multiverse of Madness got hurt. Now, it's a Marvel movie. Hurt is relative, but it could have made. It's probably not going to make $1 billion. No. And it's looking like they revealed too much in the trailer. Yeah. And it's just like people are like got overhyped, and now it hurt them because they're like, oh, it didn't live up to what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I intentionally avoided trailers for it because I didn't want to spoil it.
I'm shocked with a Marvel movie. See, the problem is I try that, but there are some movies that are so big you just can't because they'll have YouTube.
And with our circles of friends, on Facebook and things like that, there's because we're all nerds and we're all comic book heads and things like that, they're gonna give that stuff away. They just are. And with social media the way it is, it feeds that stuff into us. So not only are we getting it from our friends, but we're also getting it from all the other media outlets who are talking about it because they're trying to get clickbait. It's insane to try and avoid an anticipation. I think that what they're doing with Nope, because you don't know what's happening, it's really smart. They're keeping it under wraps, and it's going to make us look forward to it. It's definitely one that I will go see in the theater, because when I was setting up today, I had to put on, am I going to see this? Am I going to wait for streaming, or is this just an absolute no? Mm-hmm. And this is one that, I am going to go see in the theater. I will pay that money to go see this in the theater because it looks and feels interesting.
Yes. And Hollywood, please stick with that. You don't have to give away the whole farm here. Once we've seen it, there's no reason to go see it anyways. And you're already competing with people sitting at home waiting for it to come out on video anyway. So don't shoot yourself in the foot.
I agree. I think that's what they're scared about. They're like, oh man, we can't compete against free. And to be fair, it is. You're competing against what is essentially free. You're paying a subscription service, but you're already paid media. You got to entice them over there. But I'm like, guys, people are very curious. Humans are curious. They'll come just see. Again, I think Nope is going to be a hit opening weekend at least. If only because people want to know what in the world is going on. Like, it's very striking. So, yeah.
That's the way you do it. If you want to build intrigue, you pull back.
Yep.
That's what Kiss did, right? They didn't let you shoot the pictures of them without the makeup in the early 70s, and it had people always trying to talk about Kiss. Kiss was always on the cover of all the magazines, and there'd always be some magazine trying to run a cover. We finally got the pictures of Kiss without makeup before blah, 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 blah. I remember that was the thing, and that's what Gene Simmons said it, and he's smart. And the guy's rich, and he's made a lot of great decisions, even though he can be who he is, right? Mm-hmm. But he said, when people are interested, you pull back because that makes them pull in. Mm-hmm. He says you don't talk and give away the farm, you pull in and make them have to come in and seek you for it. And when they're seeking you, that's a choice. He says when they make that choice, you got them. Now all you have to do is just perform and show them what they came for. Mm-hmm. And he goes, and that's what we do. And that was his whole principle around Kiss, and that's why he did that. So, Mike, let's go to you. So we're all in agreement there on Nope. We're definitely enticed. What's another film that's got you enticed for this year?
I'll move to one that I think it's on for both of us, The Black Phone.
Yep, let's get into it.
Because this is going to touch on what we were just talking about. Because I could not be more excited for this. This is a movie coming out in June 24th. This is starring Ethan Hawke. He is a kidnapper / child killer. Has kidnapped this kid. And this kid is now locked in a basement. And there's an abandoned black phone. And he is getting messages from previous victims of this killer, trying to get him out of this situation. Talk about a unique concept. However, like we mentioned before, the marketing on this, in my opinion, is a trash fire. They have given away. I'm very affluent enough with cinema that I'm like, I think that's Act 1, that's Act 3, that's from Act 2. Now they could subvert me, and I'll be very surprised. But I've literally only seen one movie from the marketing, like flip me on its ear, where what you thought you were seeing it out of context. That said, this does not look like the case. But the reason I am still excited, despite it's Ethan Hawke. That man is stellar. Like, I don't think he's produced a bad product, in my opinion. I might be forgetting something, but even in the Marvel Disney Plus show, he was the main villain in Moon Knight. He was a really good part of it. That show was wonky, but none of it was on Ethan Hawke. Like, he is just always bringing his A game in everything he is. Him, Kurt Russell, and usually anything Sam Raimi works on are just names where I'm like, and there's probably others I'm forgetting, Denzel, where it's just like, all right, I'll just go with them because they're usually pretty consistent. At the very least, I can trust they're going to be pretty decent. Your thoughts, because that's, for me, The Black Phone. I'm excited. I actually think the movie's going to be really good, and hopefully people will forget about this marketing campaign.
Yeah, I would tell anybody, if you haven't seen the trailer for Black Phone, please don't watch it. I'm going to actually say that. Don't watch it. Just go into this movie, which I think it comes out here, it's in another
June 24th.
June 24th.
About a month. Yep. Yeah, so we're very close to that movie. So, yeah, my thing with this, I love this because you guys know I'm a historical context type person. So this is set in Denver. This is set around the times of Ted Bundy, who was abducting children.
I didn't realize it was a period piece. So it's the 70s. Yeah.
And so what you get here is you get this understanding of how the director here is trying to get this idea of showing you how scary it is when kids come up missing. Right? Look how the world acts when they think a kid is gone. We automatically can fill in what's possibly happened to them in this big, crazy world. And so here, the director, Scott Derrickson, is dealing with that he's totally saying, all right, let's create a situation. Now, he wanted to twist it a little bit, and that's why we saw in the trailer the kids that had been abducted and killed before. they get to talk to him through that black phone that's in the room that he's in. And so that's a kind of interesting idea to say, all right, let's use kids that had died before actually trying to help rather than trying to come back and kill them or something like that. So that's pretty interesting. But I think that what you got here with the black phone, and I think was this taken from a book written by
Joe Hill.
yes, so that's the son of
Stephen King.
Stephen
That's
King.
I did never. That makes me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this. I'm a big Stephen King nut. I didn't know that. I need to tell y'all why that's good news for Black Phone. I'm a big Stephen King nut. And Joe Hill just was a rando writer, came out of nowhere in comics and in books, and was just killing it. Everybody's like, dude, this guy is really good. Where'd he came from? Then it turns out, oh yeah, I'm Stephen King's son, but I wanted to make it on my own. I don't think that's his real name. I think his name actually has King in it, but I think he was like,
Oh, for sure.
he was like, I want to make it on my own. I'm telling you that he did it. He was blazing it up even before, and no one knew he was attached to King. That if it's based on one of his books and or he's writing the screenplay,
Yep.
I'm telling you, people, this thing's gonna be a hit with Ethan Hawke. Yeah, right now the only thing holding it back is it's kind of trash fire trailer. Everything else, boy, all those ingredients are gonna work. Yeah, this is you may be even more excited just finding that
Yeah.
out.
Well, so if you think that's fun, think about this. So Ethan Hawke has his horror chops in the movie Sinister, which also services
Great.
around kids and someone
Another
Bagul
Scott
who's killing
Derrickson
them.
film, I believe.
Yes. So that means that there's familiarity here with working with each other. So they should get even more out of each other and out of the scenes. So I'm there. I'm with you. The only sin so far is the fact that trailer just gives away way too much.
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't think we needed to see the kids. And I think we needed to see the black phone, but we didn't need to know that it was the kids calling on the black phone that had died before. We didn't need to see any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just leave it. as
Imagine
an
if they
abduction
left it.
thing.
Imagine if they left it like nope. You just see Ethan Hawke in that
Yeah.
awesome looking mask. You see the kid captured, and you see the phone ringing, and it just zoom in on the phone and just cut like the left phone.
Yeah.
Again, this isn't even me trying. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is me off the top of my head. I am trying, but I'm like off the top of my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys are paid more money than probably everyone in this room in our immediate family combined to make these trailers. What are y'all doing? Like, it's. I don't know. When I try to do a job, I try to do the best I can, and that just seems very strange marketing for me. We'll see. Yeah, I noted that too. Me and Vega Bomb are huge Ethan Hawke fans, and when I was introduced to the movie as the new Ethan Hawke movie, I didn't even know the genre. I was like, oh, cool, Ethan Hawke's on something new. Let me go see what that's about. So no, I am excited. Minus our criticisms, which none of them seem to have affected the movie. It's just more. I really don't want another Northman in the sense of it's a movie I love. I think it's a great movie, and it felt like no one saw it because they mismarketed it. And I hate it's probably going to be forgotten about in X amount of years, like 7 or 8 years. It'll be memory hold. It's just like, oh, that one good movie that's on Netflix streaming queue. So, but
If,
yeah,
if anyone else needs another reason, here's another one. This movie was made on a budget of $18.8 million, which is great because this tells you that this isn't going to be a bunch of CGI type stuff. This is going to be used slow burn, slow motion, slow build the tents type situation here because that's a very small budget nowadays. So I love the fact that they did that. That means they should be able to make some money back and do well. And hopefully, if this film does what I think it'll do, because by the way, Ethan Hawke is the one that got me back into horror movies. Because of his performance in Sinister, that's what got me back into horror.
yeah.
Right? And not that I was as far deep in as you guys ever were, but it made me say, instead of laughing at horror movies, Ethan Hawke made me take horror movies more seriously based off of his performance in Sinister.
And Sinister is a great movie. It's a great little movie. All right.
K-Zach?
All right, so Black Phone was not on my list, and that's fine. I'm intrigued, and one that I picked feels kind of way out of there for me, but I saw the preview on this, and I'm going, this is interesting. It's a film called 3,000 Years of Longing. This is Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton.
Wow, what a
and
pairing.
It's a film directed by George Miller, the guy who directed Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay.
This is a film about a woman who comes into possession of a genie, woman played by Tilda Swinton, the genie played by Idris Elba, and she has no idea what to wish for. And so he kind of walks her through wishes that he's granted, and she goes basically nothing about wishing is ever anything less than a cautionary tale. And it's got bold images and just crazy sequences, a lot of comedy in there, and just performances from some really tremendous actors. I mean, it just looks, it's kind of that same thing that Everything Everywhere All at Once got me. In the fact that it looks visually interesting. And the fact that you've got George Miller at the helm of this, I'm intrigued even more. It just feels like one of those films that I need to see on a big screen. This comes out on August 31st. And I got to believe that this is one that I'm going to go see on a big screen because it's just so visually interesting. It's one of those that just really kind of demands your attention. It may not necessarily be a story that I'd necessarily go for, but a bold visual is something that I'm always going to go for. And the fact that it just looks colorful and expansive and wide, and you have such powerful performers on that screen, I'm curious. And of course, with George Miller, like I said, directors like George Miller and Terry Gilliam and things like that, who take on bold directing, big choices, really always intrigue me. And this is one that I'm definitely going to go for.
George Miller is great. I have no idea why he's never. I don't think I've ever seen like a bad product from him. He never makes my list of like top directors. And even though I think he's done every time I see his name on a movie, I'm like, oh yeah, that movie was good.
I think because he doesn't necessarily have a signature. He's so out there with all of his stuff that it's just broad and crazy. And the fact is that he went away for a while. I mean, after the Mad Max films, he just went away.
Is this his first movie since Fury Road?
Let me look that up because I don't think so, but let me double check just to be sure.
Sure, I hope it is. Again,
I think he was credited with something else, but I can't remember the name of the movie.
That might be another problem with him. I just think he just doesn't. It might be because of he switches kind of style up. I feel depending on the product he's working on. I mean, this guy was famously about to do a Justice League movie, and I'm like, that movie probably would have been amazing. Fury Road, I think, is a classic. Like it's an outstanding movie. I would have liked a little bit more Mad Max, but it still was I would go as far as say a great film. At least visually.
Yeah. Let me walk you through some of his filmography.
Okay.
Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Yep.
Of course, Mad Max: The Road Warrior. Mad Max Fury Road. He's also working on Mad Max and The Wasteland Furiosa. But there's also Happy Feet 2, Babe, Pig in the City, and The Witches of Eastwick.
Babe, I knew about Babe. I actually didn't know he did Happy Feet. That's funny. And The Witches. I actually knew about those except for I think I've seen and I've seen every single one of those. I just didn't know he did Happy Feet. Wow, what an insane career.
He doesn't have a signature. He doesn't necessarily have a film that you're going to say, okay, that's George Miller, but
that might be hurting him because Sam Raimi has a signature, and we all know Sam Raimi's signature. I mean, it's 90%, 70% of the reason I went to go see Multiverse of Madness is because to kind of low key support Sam Raimi and to see what he does. Whereas,
and it was stellar. Just to say, because I don't know if you saw it, PJ.
No, I haven't.
But
it's okay. I don't.
Just basically, it was enough Marvel to keep the Marvel heads happy, but there's enough Sam Raimi to keep the Sam Raimi fans happy.
That's definitely gonna be at the conversation we talk about because I think the Marvel parts are dragged down that movie hard. The Sam Raimi parts were great, and we'll touch on that next time.
I may have to give you that.
Yeah. So that said, but Brian Miller,
George Miller,
I'm sorry,
George Miller.
I said Brian. I'm sorry. Thank you, George Miller. I every time he comes up, I'm like, this is a director who has done just every time. He's always there. I think that's hurt him. Not really. I mean, he's well known in Hollywood.
He makes the films he wants to make, and he makes them on his terms. And I'm really curious to see this one because it just looks interesting.
Yeah, I saw that trailer, and again, I didn't really care for the trailer yet. I thought it gave too much, but it is visual. I think the reason this one gave is to show off the visuals. Because I agree with you, it does have some really cool visuals. So.
There's no way I'd have gone for that story, but if you hadn't shown me what was capable of being on that screen,
Yep. So I will. It's Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba. Unfortunately, they don't have the hit record of Ethan Hawke. but these are good actors. So usually, it's the bad movies they're in usually isn't because of them. It's usually just bad scripts. So all right,
Yeah, it's either scripts or pacing or poor marketing, right?
Yeah,
The three things seem to take it down. Usually in this day and time, casting is so good that usually you don't see so many bad people casted.
That's fair,
you know?
and I agree. I say
But
it all
it
the
is
time.
definitely screenplay, it is definitely marketing, and it is definitely the pace. All right, it can bring a movie down. So, Mike, what's your number one then film that you're
My
anticipating?
absolute number one. This for this year. It was Northman, and this movie Lightyear from Disney Pixar, coming out in June 17th. So it's coming right around the corner. The premise of this, because at first I was like, "You're doing a Buzz Lightyear spinoff movie like without Tim Allen? I don't like this." It's gonna be starring Chris Evans, and the way the director pitched it, and I'm like, okay, now I'm 100% on board. This is the movie that Andy would have seen that made him want to go get a Buzz Lightyear toy. So this is an adventure action movie.
Makes sense.
About the actual character Buzz Lightyear, what the toys are based on. And I think I mentioned Chris Evans does his voice. And him and his crew crash on a planet. And it's about the character of Buzz Lightyear sacrificing and giving up kind of his time and his safety trying to save his crew. So he's jumping, light jumping through time, seeing his crew grow older, trying to save them.
Well, Chris Evans is perfect for that. What he did with Captain America.
Agreed, right? Because he's got that kind of hero voice.
Well, and also he went back in time, and he's a guy out of time.
You know what? I didn't put that yet. I was thinking just on the performance alone. Yeah, you're 100% right. The reason I'm excited is because I feel like if you play this right, everyone wins. Disney wins because this thing's gonna sell 1 billion toys. The story wins because there's something there to tell, a really compelling adventure, just a good, solid adventure story. Just take out the fact it's in space. Just tell me a good emotional story with some decent stakes. And it's a brand you can semi-trust. Like Pixar, out of like the 20 plus movies they've done over decades, 2 are horrible. Like that's a pretty good track record. Like Pixar tends to really get the artistry of storytelling down, most important than anything. Like they're always going to bring the A game with animation, but they always do try to tell a well-told story. I mean, Up is a classic.
Sure.
So I'm over the moon excited. And then on top of this, Buzz Lightyear is like a childhood. I've loved that character since the first Toy Story. He was always one of my favorites. The only little thing, and I'll tell you what someone else told me, because they were like, why not bring back Tim Allen? And I was like, well, think about it this way. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't do the voice of his toys. It's usually someone that just sounds like him. So in this world, Chris Evans was probably the big superstar voice of this movie. I think it's a brand you can trust. You got Chris Evans. He's usually pretty fun and everything. It's a franchise. I'm genuinely excited for it. It's mainly that Pixar factor.
Yeah, it has the elements of what you'd want in a summer blockbuster movie, right?
Yeah.
So a summer blockbuster movie is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be almost whimsical in a way, and it's something that you should be able to bring kids to and that sort of deal. Now, obviously, you can do horror in the summer and all that stuff, but the bigger view of summer blockbusters is about getting groups of people together so they can go laugh at some good moments and good films with universal themes, and it doesn't have to be live action. It can be animated, which brings up my number one, which is, and it surprised me after I looked at everything, that I'm picking an animated feature. So I'm picking DC's League of Super Pets. So think about this cast. You got Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, playing Crypto the dog. You got Keanu Reeves playing Batman. You've got John Krasinski playing Superman, and Kevin Conroy is also lending his voice to this one of the characters. And so this is the story of, from what I've seen already in the trailers, and the trailers were good here. They didn't give anything away here. So in this one, it's just, the Justice League. So all of us who love the Justice League, this is another excuse to see another version of them. Imagine Keanu Reeves playing Batman. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, right.
But so what happens is that we get in the synopsis is that the Justice League gets captured or kidnapped in some kind of weird way. So the only people that are left is Crypto. And then Crypto then has to go out and find some other pets and hope that they will get up to a level to go with him. And there's a way that they can get superpowers. It's in the trailers. But the difference is he's got his honed and owned, because he's just very much like every superpower that Superman has, so does Crypto. But here are these new cats, and so now you get Kevin Hart and people like that, and Ben Schwartz, who are like not sure with their powers yet, and they're trying to do things superhero-ish, and they're just not quite sure of it yet. And so to me, this just smacks of fun. Dwayne Johnson, who else would play Crypto?
Yep.
Seriously, who else would play? I mean, and he's got a great voice. Like, I've already heard the voicings already. Just hearing him just as a voice, knowing it's The Rock, but trying to picture it as a different character, it works for me. So to me, this seems fun.
I agree. You'll see it on my not as anticipated list. Yeah. I'm definitely seeing it. I am a big fan of the character Crypto the Superdog, and I'm gonna see it because I'm a big fan of the character Crypto, and I really like Kevin Hart. That said, I kind of got a deja vu chills because there's some of the jokes which I'm like, oh, that's bordering a little bit on Minions humor. I'm a little bit skittish, but it doesn't look. There's no red flags popping up. I'm just like, okay, I'll be there for it. So yeah, no, I agree with you. The Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I'm like, he's got that voice that fits. If you're gonna have Crypto talk, that works. Wouldn't have been so. Kevin Hart plays Ace the Bat Hound, which is Batman's pet. That would not have been who I would have picked for Ace. But let's see the take they go with it. It looks like they're kind of flipping the ear on it. They're doing what they did with
Teen Titans.
No, Central Intelligence, where it was basically The Rock. I think this is the second time they worked together, where one's kind of the jokey, serious one, and Kevin Hart's the serious one, even though he's like the tiny. It looks like this movie's playing into that. But with their voices.
It's a common trope. It's Ren and Stimpy. Yeah.
Yeah, bingo. So, fingers crossed. I'm definitely gonna be seeing this one for sure.
I mean, with everything else that's out there, I mean,
it's not as sure. It's not a sure ringer like 3,000 Years of Longing or The Black Mass. Like those are easy. Like I was like, oh yeah, those are gonna be great. This one, like, okay, let's see. I'm on board.
Yeah. How about you, Kazak? What's your last pick that's an anticipated film?
All right, so my last one, week season, we were trying to find stuff. I started looking for trailers that looked interesting, and I came across this one that went, wait a second, this actually looks really funny. It's a film called Official Competition. This is a film all in Spanish, directed by Mariano Cohn and Gaston Duprat. It stars Penelope Cruz as a director who's given a ton of money to make a guaranteed hit, and she employs self-pretentious actors like Antonio Banderas' character, and you see them go through just these really insane and stupid acting exercises and things like that, and it's a satire on what it means to make a classic great film. It just looks it looks like actors on screen really just chewing the scenery in a really fun way. Just again, not the typical summer fare, but this one just looks weird and funny and just taking down pretension and
yeah, like Avengers of Justice farce. Special farce.
The way you described it, you know what that sounds like? And you tell me if I'm off. Remember that movie from a while ago, Hail Caesar? Is it like that?
No, it's probably closer to For Your Consideration.
Okay.
That's the Christopher Guest film.
Yeah.
With all the actors from Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman, things like that. More along the lines of what it means to be a pretentious filmmaker and have the goal to basically make the pretentious film, and making it as pretentious as possible and poking fun at all that. So it just looks funny.
Okay.
And I
for sure.
Color me curious. This is one, and again, it's in Spanish. I don't mind subtitles. I'm good with it. It looks funny.
Gotta do that.
Please, I hope it don't take my confused face for your selection. That was more of I haven't heard about this, and this seems like it would.
Yeah,
be
I didn't hear about it either.
Yeah.
I found it doing research for this one because again, there was nothing out there. And
That's right. That's right.
Okay, I'm curious about this one. Let me go see it.
And also, how bad is it when you said Penelope Cruz? I'm like, why does that name sound? Oh wait, I forgot about her. I haven't seen her in anything major in ages.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
this is not a major film. This is just going to be one of those small scale foreign films that looks interesting, and you'd probably go see it like at 2 p.m. at the Angelica on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yes. So let's get into topic B. We got topic B to talk about today, and now we're going to tell you about those films you can just straight up miss us with. We don't even understand why these films were even made. Why are you even trying to push these off as a summer blockbuster? Because there's nothing about it that screams summer, and nothing about it that screams blockbuster, perhaps. Or maybe, perhaps, this is just some tired old stuff we've already seen 50 million versions of. So why are you doing it to us now?
Oh yeah.
Let's go with you, Horror Mike. Give us one that you said you can miss me with this one.
Yeah, and this one, because my number one on that, my miss me is a hard. I will go out of my way never to see it. But this one, it could have very easily been on the anticipated list. But I'm right in the middle on this one. That is Jurassic World Dominion coming out June 10th. We get it. It's humans versus dinosaurs. The tragedy of it is there's some great movies in there. Like there's legitimately the first one's an actual film classic that revolutionized Hollywood. Second one's pretty terrible. It's one of the rare bad Steven Spielberg movies. The third one's pretty good, and I will go to bat for that first Jurassic World movie. It's a solid little movie
for sure.
But then the next movie, I don't remember its name, Fallen Kingdom, is horrible. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. It is, and it's horrible screenwriting. The only good thing about it is I think Chris Pratt is very charismatic. I like him. That said, this one is being pitched on. This is the end of this franchise. We are going to step away, which I'm like, I low key don't believe because
correct.
Hollywood is not known for its not subtlety, but basically holding back on things anymore. Like they run it into the ground. And I'm like, you didn't run this one into the ground. We're still making billions of dollars each movie. So I'm curious if they're going to actually end it. And they're bringing back one of my favorite characters, Sam Neill, from the first and the third movie. That's one of my favorite from the whole franchise.
And they also brought back General Holdo. And the Holdo maneuver. She's back. Laura Dern. Let's see what she can do. Let's see if she'll boss him around. Sam Neill now.
So I will say, I am excited to see how you're going to end this. But your literal last installment was awful. No. And I hope maybe they say, hey, maybe this will be a good one because they're like, yo, we really messed up. We got to put this train back on track. So it's bordering on miss me. I'll probably see it, but I'm going to wait for reviews on this. So I'm not going to rush out and see it in theaters. I don't think I need to see this one opening weekend.
They're going to just rehash everything. When you bring back this is just what you'll see, folks. Whenever you bring back the original cast back to the film, 9 times out of 10, they're going to just basically try to live off the nostalgia, and they're going to just repeat lines that you heard them say in the very first movie, but they're going to try to put it in a different situation so you can go, oh, that was cool. He said that in the first Jurassic World when they were sitting in fly shit, and now he's saying it while they're sitting in horse shit. That's awesome.
As crazy as it sounds, Ghostbusters Afterlife is the only reason I have even some level of anticipation for the movie. I'm like, okay, I've seen it done somewhat right. That means it can be done. But like Vega said, it's rare. But like, because Afterlife is that 1 out of 10. We'll see. Like I said, it's on my miss me, and it just could have been an anticipation.
Kazak, what can they miss you with?
Oh, for me, I saw the previews on this one, and I went no. And then I sat through it a couple more times, and the more times I saw it, and it's a hard no. And that is Baz Luhrmann's Elvis. I don't need this whitewashed French over-sterilized version of the Elvis story. I don't need this in my life ever. I mean, just I'm watching this, and this is astonishingly like. There is no possible way anyone wants to see this. Nobody asked for this film. Austin Butler looks 12 and he's playing Elvis.
Yep.
Tom Hanks they let him he just wanted to eat cheeseburgers for a couple months. It looks over-stylized, over-sterilized, and just a terrible telling of this. I mean, Baz Luhrmann, if you like that kind of film, this isn't even going to be for you because it's just the story of Elvis is a story of theft.
Very much
is, and that's not what you're going to get. You're going to get an overly styled cult of personality movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
With just some of those same songs that you listen to in your parents' car.
Yep.
And there's nothing in that would get me to see that whatsoever. I mean, this is like Cats level bad.
Yeah.
For me, it would have been just the Tom Hanks factor because I'm a Tom Hanks fan. But you're right because I actually talked to Vega outside of this. We don't just live in a void here, guys. We talk outside. But I have almost non-existent music history knowledge. Like my knowledge tends to be real world war history, that kind of stuff. So I asked him about like, is there more to this story outside of? We all know about Elvis taking from gospel black culture. And he's like, when I showed you the trailer, you were like, oh, it looks like they're gonna focus more on the who Tom Hanks, who I had never heard of, but you knew immediately who it was. It looks like they're gonna focus more on his story.
Or his connection to Elvis.
Oh, his connection to Elvis.
Yeah.
Unlike you, I think if I take a step back looking at it from a producer level, the thing's probably going to be number one in the weekend because it's Tom Hanks and it's Elvis. I mean, Elvis is one of the most well-known musicians in the world. So that's the reason why it's level quality. I don't know who this director is. I don't really know this history. I don't know who he's playing.
Looking at the opening weekend, it's going to be your kids go to see the Black Phone and your mom goes to see Elvis.
Correct. So the younger generation does not care about Elvis. That's the older generation that was there that saw him. Elvis died in '77, so I was into Kiss at that time. I only knew of who he was because of the commercials that were on TV. Elvis sings this. Elvis sings blues. Elvis, those old K-Tel commercials.
You want to know what's
That's
crazy?
how I knew Elvis was.
I know Elvis only really because of how much of a fan Michael Jackson was, and I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. So that's why I know his Elvis material. Sure. I was never really into him. What little I heard was fine. It wasn't my cup of tea. Yeah. That's why I was more. I think I started listening to Elvis because I was like, oh, this is like Michael Jackson's favorite. I want to go check out my idol's favorite. Yeah. So I don't know. I agree with you.
It's just basically everyone doing a musical biopic, and this is the one that was just the easiest one to access and get funding for.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that the estate would allow them to go ahead and use the likeness and name. Yeah. So mine, I said, miss me with. Actually, has already come out. It's called Firestarter, taken from a Stephen King novel, and I'm like, okay, if you're going to remake this movie, you better bring something real. You better bring something to it. But no, Firestarter is trying to explore the idea of, this kid with this, she's got this telekinesis of pyrokinesis that she's able to just, put things on fire, liar, liar, pants on fire type thing. And so they decide, okay, well, here's the synopsis. Synopsis is, well, there's these shadowy organization that moves in the shadows that's trying to capture her because they want to weaponize her powers, pyrokinesis or whatever they want to call it, right? And I'm just like, okay, but then when you look at the film is hollow. The good guys really make you angry because they act like bad guys. She kills a lot of cats and animals in it, which are supposed to be representative of if she ever did this to people, what would that be like?
Oh, yeah.
And all this stuff. And you're just kind of like, what? And then the whole idea, we got to keep her safe. What are you talking about? She could light your butt up on fire. Y'all trying to protect her? Y'all can't protect her. Well, you could try to teach her. And so they tried to go that route of, do we encourage her? Or do we try to help her suppress what she can do? Because as she gets older, she's getting more involved. And they understand that it happens around pain or hurt. Yep. When she feels either one of those things, she's intense and she can set things on fire and just do that. So it sounded like it could have been a great idea at first, but then it becomes a game of keep away from the shadow organization that wants to use it for stuff to which the parents' motivations don't seem real.
Well, the original story, and I haven't seen the remake, is that it's the story of the father trying to protect the daughter because the parents were subjects of a governmental experiment in college, and which increased which basically gave them abilities. I think like the wife would have got a placebo, but the father gained psychic abilities.
Yeah, they got a little bit,
abilities. So the goal is to basically keep her away from the government, the shop that basically set the experiment in motion. Mm-hmm. When they find out she has a kid, they know they want to experiment on her. The object is to basically protect your kid, which was the original story.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The problem I run into, and I think I fairly confident. I read almost every Stephen King book up to like the year 2000. Then it's just wonky as I was losing time. Being an adult. But the Firestarter was not a bad book, but was nowhere near my favorite of his books. And of the movie, and then it had a TV show. That is one of his franchises that clearly has a fan base. But man, talk about coming out with a thud. I forgot it came out. No one's talking about it. Outside of jokes of Zac Efron's getting ready to do a High School Musical 3 after this, or whatever High School Musical they're on. And yeah, I don't know. I personally could never get the appeal of the franchise, even though, like Kazak said, the original 80s, right? 90s, right? 91
80s.
It's 80s. Yeah. That original's solid. It's not a bad movie by any stretch, but I don't think...
No, it's a fun John Carpenter film.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
It's like, of all the movies you could remake, that's certainly a decision, is to do Firestarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trash, just trash. This is literally dumpster fire. It should have been called dumpster fire starter, because that's what this is. This is absolutely horrible. So the people are supposed to be emotional and be able to show you, this is our daughter. We're trying to, but it just doesn't ever come across like that. You're just kind of going, I don't root for these people. They just seem like jerks in a way. Their motivations just don't work, and it's like, yeah, that's your daughter and all, but and then the daughter, the way she's just frying animals and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, you're just kind of like, you don't feel sorry for her. So it had a moment where it could have done that, and it just didn't. And then, of course, it doesn't hurt that on Rotten Tomatoes it got 11% by critics and only 45% of, so it's still splats.
I like to imagine that 40% was, the air conditioner was on, like in the building, like it worked.
It was Stephen King, man. Yeah. Stephen the King. Gotta go see his movies. All right, what's another one for you, Kazak?
Okay. So my second one here, that just I swear to God, it felt like punishment just watching the trailer, and that was Paws of Fury: The Legend of Hank. Samuel L. Jackson playing a samurai instructor, Michael Cera playing a dog in a world filled with cats who hate him. Everything about this trailer and this movie offended me. Everything. It's as a kung fu fan, as an animation fan, as even a Michael Cera fan and a Samuel L. Jackson fan. Everything in this movie offends me.
I agree. For once, that level of extreme. I saw the trailer. I thought it was fake. I thought it was a fake trailer. I'll get to get. It seems like you haven't seen it, Vega. Yeah. It seems like a fake trailer for the movie Tropic Thunder, making fun of animated movies with big voice actors. Yeah. It looks awful, and I'm like, Samuel Jackson, y'all should be ashamed. This looks horrible, genuinely horrible. I'm shocked it's a theatrical release. Like, I can't imagine kids wanting to go see this. It looks really bad.
Just the action in it offends me. The animation offends me. Everything in this movie is everything I never want to see in even a cartoon. Just never. The gross offensive humor. It feels like there's some terrible stereotyping there. Just I cannot get behind anything this film stands for. I may be overreading it, but. No.
Usually I'm pretty level-headed going into movies like this. Even I was like, this is awful. I genuinely thought it was a fake parody trailer. I thought it was fake. I was like, how someone, you could have given money to charity. Like, you could have given to anything. So,
yeah.
All right.
So let's go with Mike, your last one. Then we'll go with my last one as we're getting into that last hour.
My absolute last one is, I will never see this ever. For as long as I live, I will have to only see it under torture. Is Minions 2: The Rise of Gru, coming out July 1st, 2022.
Is this like Rise of Skywalker now?
I'm less anticipated because at the very least, you know what? I did like the Despicable Me franchise, or at least the Despicable Me.
The first one was cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. No, Minions 1 is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
For sure.
And Minions 2, and again, my first thought was, why did they make a sequel? And I looked up how much the first one make. It's in the $1 billion club, and like deep in it too. It's like 1.5 or 1.6 or something. So, well, of course they're gonna make a sequel. and it's gonna probably make like $2 billion. Like this movie's gonna be a big hit.
Sure.
It looks horrible. It's on the level of that Hank movie we were just talking about, except the production quality on this looks really good. The animation always looks great from I think it's Illumination, and horrible. I hate the Minions now. Like they were a funny, cute little thing in the first two Despicable Me movies. I'm like, that's funny. I can kind of get where they're going. They hit each other. Ha ha ha. Awful. This is the classic. To me, this is a classic Hollywood situation. You make a terrible movie that makes a ton of money, and you make another movie probably gonna make more money. As a film fan, these are the kind of movies that hurt my soul.
Sure.
Because for every one of these movies it took to get made, how many black phones or light years got shifted to the side?
For sure.
Ugh. So that's
sure.
the bad one for me.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. When I saw Minions, my mom wanted to see it just because they got French animators on it. My mom's French, so she just had to see it, right? Support the French. And so we're there, and there were kids that were bored.
Yeah.
I heard a kid just go, ah! He went real loud, and his mom went like that to him. So I was just like, dang, even kids don't like this crap. So I'll go to my last one because I know we are at that hour right now. Yeah. Let's see. So here's mine. So mine is, I'm going to offend some people with this, but that's okay. I'll just tell you to drink a glass of meh, because that's what I'm doing, drinking a glass of meh when I think about this film. And that is Downton Abbey, A New Era. So I know it's a popular movie. Then it had a series. I know that there's some talented people that are working on this. And even someone who I think has a cool name, Tuppence. Tuppence Middleton is Lucy Branson. I think that name's funny, Tuppence. I always have. So if you're watching Tuppence, thank you for watching. I don't like your movie. That's how it is. So when it comes to this, I'll just read you the synopsis, and you tell me if this sounds like a summer blockbuster. Let me read this for you.
I saw this trailer,
The Crawley family goes on a grand journey to the south of France to uncover the mystery of the Dowager's Countess's newly inherited villa. There's your synopsis right there. That's supposed to be summer blockbuster worthy. So again, I don't doubt that there's some great acting here. I don't doubt that some people from UK love this kind of stuff. But to me, this is a bunch of old folks talking about heritage and who had what village and who was the countess and who slept with who and all that stuff.
And there's a lot of people who love the series. So
for sure,
for sure. Like I said, I can't discount it. But it's
I will.
But it's definitely not. It's definitely not something that we are going to go see because it is not in our wheelhouse.
I watched. Yeah, same. It's not. I watched the Downton Abbey. I was just like Bridgerton. I gave it a fair shot. I'm like, well, there's quality here, man, but this is not for me. This is grim death for me. Like this is grim, and that's how I say with that movie. I'm like, yeah, I'm never seeing this. Unlike Minions, another movie I'm never going to see. I'm just never seeing this because I don't care about Downton Abbey. This sounds really boring to me.
It's not for us, and that's okay because,
absolutely,
like I said,
okay.
Make films that are going to get everyone in the theater, and this is going to get people who have been stuck in
old white people to the theater. Yes, British people,
and that's fine.
And that's fine. You go to your movie.
That's fine. So,
exactly.
That's fine. The television series was appointment viewing for a lot of folks. They love the series, so yeah. Go for it. Enjoy.
They can do it. It's all for them. That's why I'm saying it.
Right.
Because this is me, and I'm telling you, I ain't watching this stuff. I'd rather have a glass of meh. That's exactly how I feel about this film. So again, if you enjoy it, no one's going to tell you not to be you, but for me and for all my sensibilities, I can find there's got to be something better this summer to watch than this.
Sadly, it's kind of looking like not much. Sadly.
Yeah, like it's going to be one of them summers.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's going to be one of them summers where we just stay in and watch Moon Knight.
So that's probably what it'll be. So what about you guys out there? Is this summer as bad as we're letting on, or can you think of a summer that had worse summer blockbuster films? Hey, put that in the comment section below. And to the other side, what was your favorite summer of blockbuster films that had come out? For me, it's probably 2019. A lot of great films that came out that year. But at any rate, let's go ahead and do our shout out. So Mike, who you shouting out to?
As my usual, I'm going to shout out to Keys Comics, my manager Jesus, of course, my mom, dad. Hey guys, and just you guys enjoying film. Like, go out and support those movies. If you like it, go see it maybe a second time. We want to get those good movies out there, and the only way Hollywood listens is with their dollar.
That's it.
But yeah.
That's right. Appreciate it, K-Zach. Who you shouting out to?
Shout outs to everyone here in DallasOnAir.com. Stay tuned to all the great stuff that we have here. We've got great shows and something for everyone. We've got, of course, our counterparts here on Talking Marine to Me Sundays, which is, of course, our Star Wars companion Cole Houston on the Rancor Pit live, and also on Isle of Toys where we talk toy collecting. I would know what one of PJ's loves. In addition to that, we've also got lots of great stuff. Check out Best for Business. Check out Say Something. Check out all the great stuff here on DallasOnAir.com. We got something for everyone, and thank you, of course, to Jansen and Kat for giving us a home here every Sunday.
That's absolutely right. And so for me, it's going to be Brandy and Barry Austin, Sean Presley, Lauren Wiedauer, Tristan Frazier, Harry Thomas, Troy Ross, Prim, who's also a YouTuber himself, Daniel Meza, Freddie, you know who Freddie is, Eddie Medina, Cole Houston again, and Stephanie Crane, and I cannot forget and will not forget the film Samurai. So this shuts it down for today, but we will be back. We've got some new hours and times we're working on for June for a few things that have been shuffling around, but we will let you know, keep you up to date on that. And so till then, he's
Horror Mike.
And he's
Gay Zach.
And I'm Vega Bomber, your tour guide, and we'll see you next time.
All right, guys.
Peace.